So the first step is we have to set in our relay. Pay attention to the pins. These are your pins for the coil. So when you put voltage onto these pins, the coil inside will energize, and the switch inside will snap shut. So we're going to take that, and we are going to have to make it straddle the line in between right there, so that the pins go in between, so that they're not connected to each other. Alright, next we're going to take our push button switch, and we are going to push it into the pins right up here. We have to make sure yet again that you cannot connect it this way, because then those two pins are connected. You have to connect it this way. Now we are going to take our positive voltage, it's a little bit of hookup wire, from here, and we're going to connect it to one side of the switch. Alright, next we're going to take another piece of hookup wire, connect it yet again to the positive rail, and we are going to connect that to one side of the relay's coil. So that's the two pins over here that are separate. You have to make sure that they're lined up, because if they're not, obviously it will not work. Then you're going to take another piece of hookup wire, connect it to the side of the switch that has the positive rail connected, and you're going to connect that over to the middle pin on the relay, right in there. Once again, make sure it's lined up and push it in. Next we are going to take our green LED, or whichever LED, it doesn't really matter, and we are going to connect it to the pin all the way over on the right hand side of the relay. And then this is the long pin that's going to be connected to that one. Then the other pin, the shorter pin, is just going to go off to the side on the relay. We have to make sure that it's not connected to any pins on the relay, or else this will not work. Next we're going to take our other LED, and we are going to connect the long pin to the contact on the relay that is, well, right there. The long pin is going to be connected there to the relay, and once again the short pin is just going to be off to the side, not connected to any contacts on there, because once again, if it's connected to the relay, it will not work. Okay, next you're going to take another piece of hookup wire and connect the short pin of each LED, the ones that are not connected to the relay, and you're going to just connect them together with a piece of hookup wire. After that, you're going to take your 680 ohm resistor, and you're going to connect it to one of the short pins on the LEDs. It doesn't matter which. You're going to push it into the breadboard, and then just have it go off to the side. After that, you're going to take another piece of hookup wire and connect it to the pin that you connected the resistor to, the other side of the resistor, and you're going to connect that to the other remaining pin on the other side of the relay. This pin is going to the coil, so you want to make sure that you have that connected up. Once that's done, you're going to take another piece of hookup wire, and you are going to connect that same pin on the relay to negative voltage. And once that happens, you're done. Alright, so now we have the circuit set up, and my assistant is going to turn on the power supply and provide power to this circuit. So we can see that the red LED comes on, and it's on by default. If we push the button, the relay switches power over to the green LED, and if we let go again, it switches back. So what's happening here is actually quite simple. We have power going by default on the relay to the red LED. Right now the contact of the relay, if you can imagine my finger is the relay, is like that, and power is being sent right along through there. When we turn the coil on, this contact switches over to the other side, sending power to the other side of the relay so that the green LED comes on. Alright, so in this next experiment they want us to use jumpers to connect to the relay. We're not going to use jumpers. We're going to use a breadboard because it is way easier. Instead of having to have all the jumpers get on there and have good connections, and then we have to, make sure that they don't slip off or anything, we can just push them into a breadboard, and that'll give us a nice connection. So let me explain how a breadboard works. So this one, on the back, it sort of comes apart. So if we peel it back, you can see that there are little metal connections going across. And these connections on the other side represent, they basically mean that each of these lines is connected. So if I were to...
There's a gap in the middle too.
What?
There's a gap down the middle too.
Oh yeah. There's a... Well, I was going to explain that. Each of these lines represents a connection. So when I push these two pins into the breadboard, if I push them in like that, those two are connected because they're on the same line. However, if I were to do it like that, now they're not connected because they're on different lines. And then over here on this side, oh, that went well. This just these are just for your negative and positive rails. These are just to connect to voltage. It's a lot easier if you have a big breadboard to just give power to all these little rails and then distribute power with wires across them. The other thing that we have to note is down the middle is a little row. That row is a separation. So this line is connected, but this line is not connected to this line over here because there's this row down the middle. If we look at the back, we can see that those are separated. They're not together. So we have to bear that in mind. Okay, so we have our bigger breadboard here, and we have a power supply here which will provide 12 volts to the positive and negative rails on the breadboard. For this experiment you're going to need a relay, you're going to need a switch. This is a little momentary push button switch. You're going to need 2 LEDs. We opted to use a red and a green one because it's cool looking. And then you're going to need a 680 ohm resistor. That's blue, gray, brown, for those of you who know the color code. And you're also going to need some hookup wire.